Hi, everybody. My name is Toni Marcolini. Welcome to the podcast It May Interest You to Know. I have two repeat authors joining me today, Isabella Maldonado and Jeffery Deaver. Deaver or Dever? I never think I
Deaver.
pronounce it right.
Deaver, you were correct
Deaver.
the
I was
first
right the
time.
first
Yeah.
time. Um, okay, so they're back to talk about their second uh, novel in a series that they're writing, the Sanchez Heron. Am I saying that name right? I don't know if there is a correct
It's
name for
it's
a
it's
fictional
like it's like
character.
it's like the bird, yeah, heron.
Heron series that they're working on. So before I get into anything about the second book, I mean, because the first book sort of freaked me out a little bit. It's got eerie, right, written all over it, almost from the first sentence. So I didn't know what to expect with the second. And I have to say, I'm a little frightened by. I'm not sure which one of you comes up with some of the the plot, but I'm a little frightened even conducting the interview. Uh, I mean, right from the first page, you get into a serial killer, right? Again, but you go right into the brain and like how much this guy is enjoying the plotting of the killing and how he's just kind of bloodthirsty over it and he's super excited and then he gets what he wanted. You actually get to see the killing and how much he enjoys it. And I gotta say, I'm like, who's ever writing that? It seems like it's delicious to that person, and I'm a little scared of these people.
Well, Tony, actually, it's both of us, and in fact, in the latest book with Sanchez and Heron, the grave artist, Isabella came up with the kernel of the idea, and it's not really giving anything away. Now, we have to be very careful when we talk about the books because there are many surprises and big surprise endings, plural. But right in the opening, we
Indeed.
see that the villain is called the honeymoon killer for the very reason that he kills a person on the honeymoon, one or the other. And she came up with that idea, and then we kind of created an outline and threw out, wonderfully and suitable macabre ideas. Now, let me just say one thing, and then I'll go over to Isabella because she'll want to comment too. We're very careful about this. These are crime books. People love crime books. We are actually pretty tame. We don't hurt children. We don't hurt animals. There's no sexual violence, and you don't see the violence on camera. Maybe somebody gets whacked on the head, but there's no like gruesome knife work or anything like that, because we want the books to be entertainment, like a roller coaster. We get scared on roller coasters, but at the end of the day, we get off safe and sound, ideally.
It's got that arsenic and old lace vibe. I'll give you that,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, in my mind, that's more eerie, right, than watching like a Friday the 13th or one of the, where they're showing a lot more gore. I'm more frightened by the the lead up and the way that arsenic and old lace plays out.
Hmm.
So it does have that. I'll give you that.
Hmm. And that is intentional, and also when you mention, right from the get-go, it starts, immediately you're transported because there is some sort of a scene that takes place and draws you in. Part of that's because we are thriller writers. I mean, this is not a sort of a slow burn, locked room mystery, the cat doesn't solve the crime. This is not what that's not what Jeff and I write. I mean, we write a high octane thriller, but like what he was saying, it's very cerebral in the sense of the tension just keeps getting ratcheted and ratcheted and ratcheted. And it is what you are picturing in your own mind because we make sure that you're the one doing the thinking.
Our model is Alfred Hitchcock. When I do my course in writing, I ask my students, I come to a part about it's better to be suspenseful and not gruesome. And I ask my students, who here has seen an Alfred Hitchcock film? And almost everybody raises their hand. And I said, well, who here has seen an autopsy video, a live autopsy video for the fun of it? Usually nobody raises their hand. Occasionally there's one or two there, I think, just joking with me. But my point is that Hitchcock was very suspenseful, but in Psycho even, we saw, I think Martin Balsam got his head scratched, his head cut, but that was about it. And so we try to lace the suspense through the story, which readers enjoy, and keep the gore in their own minds.
Yeah, I mean, there's not gore, and I don't mean to mislead anyone, but the icky, eerie
Hmm.
factor is there, right?
We
Because you
love
take,
Erie.
I think because you take the person in the mind of the killer,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And the killer's true enjoyment of the act of killing. I mean, you get it. I don't want to give too many spoilers away. I mean, you get into it. We get into the killer's background and, through the
Hmm.
investigation and the like. But still, like to have a psychopath, and like we're sitting there going through his perspective and what he's thinking, like that's a really odd brain to be walking around in, right? So it gives you the ick vibe.
Hmm. And that is also intentional. One of the reasons that Jeff and I enjoy writing together so much is that we have a very similar writing style, and we both write third person, close, multiple POV, and the POV always includes the POV of the villain, among others. And the readers love it. A lot of them have written to say how much they find it fascinating. I mean, and, kind of maybe morbidly fascinating, but
Mm.
fascinating to think. But I think part of it is there is this question that people have in their minds of what drives someone to do things like this? Like what drives someone to kill? What drives someone to kill again? And Jeff and I, we've done the research and we have the information and we can come up with a plausible sort of a character who would do something like that because in real life, crime really doesn't make any sense. So we are making some sense out of it.
And Tony,
Yeah.
you made a very good point just a moment ago when you said, we've got the background of the villain, and we both feel that it is vital to have rich characters. Carmen Sanchez, her sister, Jake Herron, his family, they are. We have what we call Bibles or biographies about them. Much of the material doesn't even end up in the book, but it informs our ability to tell the story. And then we do the same thing with the villain. And we do write fast plots. We're both very good plotters, but the best plot in the world is useless if you don't care about the characters. I mean, that way you end up with a bad guy who has my hairstyle but a ponytail. And if those of who are not watching, you can kind of guess what kind of bald pate I'm referring to. And then who's the ultimate villain? Well, he runs a drug company or an oil company. Well, nobody believes that. That's just caricatures. That's done for the ease of the writer. We create very complicated and fully fleshed out villains so that at the end of the book, if it does have a happy ending, I'm winking because it probably does. Um, I want the readers to feel something like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry he didn't succeed. On the other hand, I feel his loss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought it was a very twisty book, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you're twisting through. There's like it's sort of two stories going on at the same time. I'm trying to be careful, not to give too much away, but you're trying to have like a little subplot going on there. I thought you advanced Jake and Carmen's
Mhm.
relationship. It looks really different than it did in the first book.
Mhm.
And what was that like? I mean, how do you, I mean, did you just talk that out in terms of advancing? Did one of you just surprise the other one? I mean, I could imagine that happening if you're kind of going back and forth and you're just like, oh, I just took them in a totally different direction. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, let me just start, and then Isabella can jump in. And it would kind of be helpful to know how we've talked about this before, but about how the book was actually created. As I mentioned, Isabella came up with the idea for a honeymoon killer, a kind of scenario, and then I'm quite an outliner, inveterate outliner. My outlines are 60, 70, 80 pages long. And so I'll kind of sit down with that idea. And it wasn't just that idea. I mean, there were pages of concept. And I'd hammer out an outline, then I'd send it to her, and she would add to it, detract, take away some things. And so at the end of the day, we ended up with about a 60-page, I shouldn't say 60 page, a 60 chapter outline. And then we divided up so we kind of knew where everything was going. And then we divide up the chapters. And of course, we have Carmen Sanchez, who's a Latina federal law enforcement officer.
Who I
Jake
love.
Hare.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's a great character.
she's a good character. She's quite popular. And then Jake Heron is a nerd, kind of like myself, and he's kind of a wacko, academic. Has some like civil liberties issues that he's fighting for, but he knows computers and so forth and hacking. And so Isabella would tend to write the Carmen chapters more. I'd write the Jake chapters more. We'd flip a coin to write the bad guy chapters because those are always like popcorn to write. And then we'd go back and forth. So sure, there was surprise. But Isabel, do you want to talk about maybe the phone conversations we had that kind of broke the bank at Verizon and AT&T?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were asking about, developing their relationship or, the plot in general. And before it even starts with the outlining, there were long involved conversations over the phone, sometimes for over 4 hours,
Wow.
spent really creating kind of all of everything that we wanted going on in the background. And part of the reason for that is this is not a situation, even though Jeff and I both have our own independent work that we're doing all the time, one of us is not walking into the other one's intellectual property and starting to work on it. We are creating something de novo. So we wanted it. It takes a lot of time because you have to do all the world building from scratch. And it's a lot of fun, but the brainstorming it is a lengthy process to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking just as a reader, right? I thought because I read the first book, obviously, and so I didn't know what to expect of Carmen and Jake, but I really thought like their relationship it's different, right? I mean, it's a lot different than the first book, so I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought. Like I said, it's the kind of book that you'll be on the edge of your seat. There's a lot of stuff happening. We're layering down this kind of a subplot. I'll, you know, I mean, I don't particularly like Selena too well, the sister. I can't imagine she's overly popular. Uh,
Yeah.
as a character, I don't know, but as the reader, I don't, and particularly she became the person I just didn't enjoy. Um, but you touch upon, I mean, there's a little bit of AI. I mean, there's Italy. I mean, there's just a lot of things that, are happening that will draw interest, I think, from a wide variety of an audience.
Well, one thing about fiction nowadays, well, I shouldn't say nowadays, I'm sorry. One thing about fiction is that, yes, there's always the core story, but you can also say a book like The Hunger Games, it's like a love triangle that happens to be set in dystopia. What's Game of Thrones? It's a love quadrangle, or add like 12 people in with swords and dragons. And you need that personal relationship stuff. True Blood, the well, that wasn't the title of the books, but Charlene Harris's wonderful vampire books, or The Walking Dead, or the Last of Us. Those are about maybe romance, maybe not romance, but family relationships. And people love that as much as they do the gunplay and car chases. So, yeah, we've got to get, Carmen and Jake are kind of reassessing as we move along. And in fact, I took a break from working on the new outline. We've done a lengthy proposal, but of course, a proposal does not mean a book. So I'm doing a rather lengthy outline. And of course, Jake and Heron, Jake and Carmen, there are kind of issues that occur throughout the book that I think readers are going to, keep turning pages to find out what's going to happen on the very last page.
As is the case, like with both books. I mean, they're both standalone, obviously, but you're going to enjoy number two, I think, a lot better if you read number one. I
Hmm.
mean, I enjoy a series. I really love getting to know people and watch them as they go, as they develop. That's the benefit, I think, to series books, and so I enjoy jumping in on something, and this is like the very beginning. So I do think you'll enjoy two even better if you've read one, but it clearly is a standalone as well. That you can, there's no reason why you couldn't just jump in and start here. Um, it, it's a very, let's put it this way. I like books, and I don't think I made a secret of this, right? Like literary fiction is probably my complete jam. Like that's my favorite thing to read because I like the messy, right? I like the multi-generational family drama sagas, which mimic real life really well, right? I like that mirror up to what living kind of looks like and what being a member of any family looks like, or most families anyway. And so I think you do justice because in your book, you definitely, you have family. You got issues. You got sisters, killing each
Hmm.
other, right? I mean, you got that. I mean, there is that messy, and I like messy. So I am happy that you sort of add that in. It lets you feel more part of the lives, I think, of your characters as opposed to what is normal for this type of thriller is just to thrust an investigator, whether it be a private investigator, police officer, CIA, FBI, I mean, whoever your person is taking you through. But it's usually that person, and they're just thrust in the middle of something that, they're going from beginning to end, all drama. And we don't really take the time to get to know anything else or see anything else. I like that. I like that we get to jump in and see other things. So I applaud that.
Well, thank you. And look at Blue Bloods, the great, I think, long running. I think it's just ended its tenure on whatever network it was on. But at the end, and it's about a New York City police family, Blue Bloods, very clever title. And he was commissioner, and I think his daughter was a prosecutor, and there were officers in the family, detectives and young rookies. And every episode ended with the family at a dinner table. And I'm not really choked up now, but I'm feeling kind of like sentimental for some of those the scenes that were not, necessarily happy. I mean, it was like a real family, but that was as much of the story as the cop stuff.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, for me, I need that, right? To the things like the books I enjoy the best have that element. Now, there are some people who just like the thriller, right? They want to be, they want to jump right in. They want to be hanging off a plane from beginning to end, and that's all it takes to make them happy. And that's great. I mean, you're going to get that here too. I mean, there's a lot of excitement in your book. But I think you stop to pace it really well with real world family stuff and going on, which is unusual for the genre that you're in. So I think it makes you different, honestly, than a lot of the others writing in your you know what would be your competition, if you will, or in your genre.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so there's a third book coming. I mean, at least it sounds like you're in the process of putting the brains together on this.
Yes, we have done basically I think a 3 or 4 page synopsis of what we have in mind. And, I've broken that down. Now we've had to divide up our time because neither of us get any sleep. And we work for like, I don't know, it's been like for me, 10 or 12-hour days. Isabella the same, because I write a series for Putnam, the Lincoln Rhyme books, the Bone Collector series, and then the books that are the basis for the Tracker TV show, the Coulter Shaw books. One of those was, I just handed one of those in. I do short stories for Amazon. So all I'm saying is that we get the job done, but we kind of have to jump back and forth. So now I'm going to, I just got some development edits from Amazon for a long short story. So I'm going to, in the relatively near future, I'm going to give Isabella the outline that I've
Mhm.
proposing, nothing set in stone. She'll work on that and,
Mhm.
add to it and pull it apart and so forth. And then at some point we'll,
Mhm.
kind of hover back toward the end of the year because it's due in a few months, that little issue. But I kind of put that aside. I try not to think about that.
I assume you guys truly enjoy working together, right? I mean, it
Mhm.
comes through on the page.
Mhm.
And I can sort of see, even just talking to you both, that you feed off each other a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, so I can see like crazy, I can see you feeding off of, developing a crazy person really well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And the investigation too, and trying to figure out, how it would normally unfold. And then the subplots that you mentioned with the family and all that, yeah, it's great to be able to bounce ideas off of each other. Writing is normally a very solitary profession, and it's fun to have someone that you can be like, well, what do you think of this? And then, oh, I've got an idea. That just gave me another idea. And it turns out it is very much more, it gets better that way.
I
Sure. Two great
have a
minds.
reputation. I have a reputation for not playing well with others. That's why of the various TV shows and movies I've had made, I have never had any involvement with them. I've been very. There's nothing. Don't get angry about it. I just no. It's okay. I'm busy writing. I can control the books. A project by committee, which is what a movie or TV show is. I don't have an interest in that. But I think Isabella is probably the only person in the world because we're very compatible creatively, but also we have a sense of humor. We have zero ego. Um, she'll say, Jeff, I don't think this is going to work, and I say, you're right, and I'll say, Isabel, maybe we'll. What do you think about changing this? And so zero ego. Our goal is to write a book that's best for the readers, and we have great fun doing that. And here's an example. I was an attorney for some years, so I know the law, but it's fiction. So I think, well, I don't know, what's wrong with a shortcut here or there? And Isabella, who was, of course, a police captain for some years, says, well, Jeff, we have this little thing called the Fourth Amendment, and you really cannot go about, arresting or shooting somebody in the back quite that way. There are protocols. And I grudgingly say, oh, you know what? You're right. But it's not so grudging because I'm sorry, anybody who's got a TV set now, cable or an internet connection knows criminal procedure better than half the lawyers I know. And so you got to get it absolutely right. And so that's the way we kind of correct each other. And it just has worked out very well. And it doesn't hurt that we're both basically have all these Seinfeld episodes memorized. And that to me has always been a sure sign of some compatibility.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird because just the other day, my brother sent me a link to the Seinfeld episode where Kramer's driving the bus, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's right, like he's
Yeah.
and he's making the stops. He's fighting
You're
all the
making all the
gunmen.
stops, Kramer.
Yep.
It was a robbery, and you're making all the stops. Yeah,
Right.
It's like, well, he kept ringing the bell.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the answer. He kept ringing the bell. So,
Well, I mean, you definitely collaborate well.
mhm.
I enjoyed the book, highly recommend it. It's hard sometimes doing the podcast not to
Mm,
get into, I think, some of the meat, but like I don't want to spoil the books for anyone. And it's a hard line to walk. Like how much can you say? And but I will say that, it is the honeymoon killer just by itself, I think ought to draw people in.
mhm,
There's a lot of that arsenic and old lace eeriness to the book,
mhm,
though.
mhm,
And it's an interesting, fast paced, a lot of stuff is being thrown at you, I think, all at once. I mean, you're in a one win funnel, and like all this information is coming your way, and you're just trying to run to the other side. And that's just the overall vibe for the book, from my perspective.
mhm.
But I liked it a lot, and I highly recommend it. And I mean, if you're fans of either one, you're not going to be disappointed.
Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had comments that it's kind of a one sitting read. It's not terribly long. It's not short. It's about 100,000 words, which is kind of halfway through the the fiction, the genre fiction now. I mean, some murder mysteries, classic Dorothy L. Sayers, and the softer, like The Animal Detective, which Isabella was referring to earlier. Those are shorter, 65,000 words or so. The Game of Thrones stuff, the fantasy stuff, that's 150,000 words. So it's kind of halfway in between that. It moves very quickly, but people have said it's a one-sitting read, which we strive for. And we both had comments from our readers who are rather cross because they say, well, okay, it's done. When's the next one? And basically, with all our other projects, we can only do one of these a year, and there's no way around that. So, but again, this will be out in the fall of next year, and but also go to our websites for some other things that are coming out. And this will be out. The Grave Artist will be out September 8th, right? 8th or 9th.
It's the pub day is the 9th, but we're doing our joint appearance on the 8th, one day early.
And that's
So
at Poison Pen. And so
yes.
anybody who's available, please come by. And also, Barbara Peters, the wonderful owner of the bookstore, knows more about the internet than I do, even though I purport to be a nerd. And they have arranged a live Facebook feed. And I guess 1,000 people tune in to watch. So that will certainly be available on that day. And then it's recorded, of course, so you can see us in our like stand-up comic mode.
We do have fun.
Excellent. Well, I hope you'll come back and talk to me again when
Of
book three
course.
comes out.
That would be
Love to.
fun.
It's always a
Fun.
great time. I enjoyed talking to you last time. I enjoyed talking to you this time.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck and success. And you're not going to need my good wishes. This is a good book.
Well, thank you.
Good. And then
Okay.
you can cleanse your palate with a little literary fiction before we throw you into book 3, which will, I'm sure, be another roller coaster thrill ride all over again.
Well, I knew this time not to read it before I went to bed, right? Because
Okay, good.
I notoriously read, right before I go to bed, but I said, no, I'm not doing that because like I did that last time and then I couldn't sleep the entire night. I mean, I read it in one sitting, and I was just like,
Well,
so-
Tony, let me just say one thing, if I could, that in the what I'm proposing in book 3 regarding Selena, I think you might give her a second chance because the poor kid has had a tough time. The dates haven't worked out. She's had to kickbox a few people who have misbehaved. And that puts you in a bad mood. But I think I agree completely. She was one of those characters that we had to make her that way for plot
Yeah.
purposes. But I think you're going to like the way she's turned around.
I look forward to it.
Very good.
Like
Very
I said,
good.
and I know now, I started your book in the morning. I was like,
Yep.
gonna finish this bad boy early while
There
it's
you
still
go.
daylight.
Excellent. That's what we
Thank you.
want.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for
Perfect.
being here. I'm gonna close the podcast. Say have a great day, everybody.